Hello and welcome back to video 2 of this ICT and SMC concept course. So today we'll be going over break of structure, which is a concept used to determine the direction of the market. So a break of structure is made when price breaks or closes below the ordinary trend, such as these. These would be an example. So this would be called an uptrend, right? It is made of higher highs and higher lows right here. Higher highs, higher lows. This is considered an uptrend. Now, this right here is considered a downtrend. Lower lows and lower highs, right? Now, how do we determine when an uptrend becomes a downtrend, right? Because it's important to know where price is headed next. So, if we take a look at this X I drew, you might guess that, yes, this is where we marked as a break of structure. Now, you may ask why. Well, see, higher highs and higher lows is what creates an uptrend. But see how this low right here is lower than previous, and this high is lower than the previous high. This signifies that we're changing market direction. This break of structure right here means that price came down and broke the structure, right? Because if price were to keep continuing in an uptrend, price would come here, come to this high, come here, and then back up, right? But see how price came down and broke the structure, right? Now, this is the same example, but on from a downtrend to an uptrend. Now, see, downtrend, lower lows and lower highs. Now, uptrend, same thing, higher lows and higher highs. Now, yes, this break of structure would be this green line. And you may ask why again? That's because right here is where price broke structure, right? If price could continue in this direction, right? Let's say it's in a downtrend, and price were to continue, it should not pass above this high, right? Because that would break the structure. It would continue lower, right? Now, let's see this on the charts, right? So, as you can see, here's the chart, right? Let's take a look at an example. Let's make it a clear example for you guys. Let's see. Bear with me for a moment. All right. Now, let's see right here. As you can see here, we are in an uptrend, right? Uptrend, 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 and then we're in a downtrend, right? Now you may ask yourself, okay, when do we know that this uptrend becomes this downtrend? Now, if we take a look at each of the swing highs, the highs and the lows of this move, right? We would get one here, right? It would come down. We would get one here, right? This would be another high, came down a little lower, right? Because this red candle signifies a down movement, right? So it's up, down, and then it creates another high here. Now, let's look at this downtrend. It's up here, came down at this low, right? This green candle came down at some point and pushed up higher. And then it created a lower high, as you can see here. And then price continues to make a lower low. Now, if we were to look at here, we could draw it out on the same with lines that we did previously, which would look somewhat like this, right? Now, you may ask, okay, where is the break of structure? Now, before I say anything, I want you guys to take a guess. Is it in spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, or spot 4? If you were to say spot 3 right here, you would be correct. And you would draw it from the lowest of the candle, or the swing low, all the way over to the candle that broke the structure. And we label this a break of structure. Now you may ask yourself, okay, why? Well, we can see here that if we were to look on this chart here, it's in an uptrend, and then it becomes a downtrend. Now, the break of structure would be somewhat here. This may be a kind of bad drawing, but let's say it's like this, right? This would be the break of structure. Because if we were to head higher, it would look something like this, higher, right? But instead it broke structure. So, back to the charts. Now, how do we draw this break of structure? Well, we would take it from the lowest point of the low before it making a lower high. As you can see here, this wick right here is the lowest point before heading higher, right? Came down, made a low, and came up and made a high, and came back down. Now you may ask, okay, how do we know if a break of structure is valid? Well, it is only valid once a candle closes in the body below this wick or the low, right? So as you can see here, this candle opened here and decided to close down here. And the closure of this body is further down than this line or break of structure. This makes this break of structure valid, right? Because it broke structure. If it were to be a wick, for example, it would not be a valid structure. It must close, the price must close after the wick. Now, let's take a look at a downtrend to an uptrend, all right? So, this is a perfect example, right? We see right here that price is in a downtrend, right? Lower lows and lower highs. But then price decides to shift higher. And now you may ask, where was this shift in the break of structure? Right? So if we take a look here, we see, let's say let's look at just this area, right? We would have this low, this high, this low, this high, this low, and then we have, let's say, this high and low down here, right? Because this is a red candle, and then the high right here. Now, take a look, see where would the break of structure or the change in trend be. Right? Let's get rid of these circles so you can see better. Okay. I'll give you 2 seconds. Figure out where do you think the break of structure would be and where would you draw it. If you said right on this high of the wick, all the way towards this green candle that it meets. Okay, this would be a break of structure. Now, once again, you may ask why. Well, let's draw it out again, right? Starting from here. Higher, lower, lower high, lower low, higher high, and then it makes a little dip in this red candle here, right? And then higher. So, as you can see, if we were zoom in, this right here would be our break of structure. Now, if you were to take a look at this candle, right? This is a red candle, and it created this wick right here, right? Now, this was the high before making a higher high, right? This means that price was in a downtrend, and and it became an uptrend, right? Now, once again, we would draw this break of structure from the wick of the high instead of the low this time, and we would drag it all the way across to the body of the candle that closed above this high. This, if you were in this candle, if you were watching it, this would not be a break of structure. Why? Because this candle never closed above. Even if it was a wick, huge wick up, and it closes below, it would still not be considered a break of structure. Now let's look at an example of what wouldn't be a breaker structure. Alright, here's an example of a failed breaker structure. As you can see here, we are in uptrend, right? Uptrend. And let's say we're trying to look for sells, right? Or we want to sell the market. And we want to look for this nice breaker structure, right? So what wouldn't be a breaker structure? Now let's say you're watching this, right? You're watching this move up here, right? If you were scrolling and you were to see this, you'd be like, oh, wait, this might be a breaker structure, right? Because technically, right, price came down here and went past this low, right? Problem is, see how if we were to zoom in, that price never closed below this low, right? This means that this breaker structure is invalid because price must close with the body below the low. This is why price continues to create the trend, right? But now, where would the breaker structure be on here, right? Let's say we were to draw this out. Although this may be bad price action, but it came up, made this accumulation, made a high, and came back down. See how price is technically still in an uptrend, right? But then creates a downtrend, right? This downtrend. Now, without me saying, look at the chart, tell me if the breaker structure is at 1, 2, or 3, the closest breaker structure. If you were to say 2 right here, you would be correct. Now, you may ask why. Because price was in an uptrend. Up, down, up, down. See, this right here is the low before the high, and this high is the high previous before making a lower low and a lower high right here. Now see how this fire candle began here and closed below. This means that this break of structure is valid, right? Because this body closed below the low. Now I've taught you break structure. I want you to go on your trading view, find 3 breaker structures, and find 1 breaker structure that wouldn't be valid. Remember, identify the trend that you're in and the reversal of the trend. Remember that it is measured from the low or the highs of the wicks, and it's straight across to the candle that either broke or didn't break the structure. Remember, candle must close above or below, depending on what breaker structure you're looking at, the wick that you're looking at. Once you have mastered the breaker structure, you may move on to the next video.